I ventured to building 727, driven by curious whispers I had heard about its supposed spiritual aura, with tales of eerie ghost stories circulating amongst the locals. As I approached the building, I was greeted by a musty smell that seemed to seep through the cracks in its aging walls. This was not uncommon, as many old apartment buildings. I can't stand the smell in this building. But that evening, as I was about to leave the area, I had the pleasure of meeting a blind girl. I was able to identify her scent right away because it contained the well-known scent of tobacco. The tobacco scent was particularly evocative for me, stirring memories of my childhood. It was the scent of cheap tobacco, the same one that my forefathers used to smoke during the Second World War. I looked around and happened to see a beautiful white-skinned blind girl and asked her where she bought these tobaccos. As I approached the blind girl, I said hello to her in Vietnamese. To my surprise, when I asked her if she could speak English, she didn't respond. Instead, she asked me if I could speak French. I was taken aback, but I remembered my time living in France where I had studied painting. With this shared language, the blind girl and I were able to communicate easily. She told me that she was a college student, majoring in French, which explained why she was so proficient in the language. She apologized for not being able to speak English, but I told her that her French was perfect. I then asked her about the source of the tobacco scent, wondering if it was her perfume. To my surprise, the blind girl told me that she lived in the 727 building and that she could take me there if I wanted to see for myself. I hesitated for a moment, thinking of the terrible odor that I had encountered earlier. I asked her how she could bear to live in such a place, and if there was someone who sold the tobacco in the building. The blind girl just smiled and told me that she was used to the smell, and that there was indeed someone in the building who sold the tobacco I was looking for. The blind girl led me up the stairs, her firm and steady footsteps leading us deeper into the building. I followed her, motivated by the combination of the girl's politeness and the familiar smell of tobacco on her. As we made our way up to the higher floors, the building's unpleasant odor seemed to fade. I felt slightly dizzy. I couldn't help but wonder what was happening to me. The color of the building and the odor changed with each floor, and I couldn't help but feel like I was in a completely different neighborhood from the first floor. On this floor, people bustled about their business. Lights shone brightly, children played together, and to my surprise, I saw a small shop selling packs of tobacco with my beloved scent. I was thrilled to finally have found what I was looking for. As I held the pack of my favorite tobacco in my hand, I couldn't help but wonder how it had made its way to Vietnam. It had been a long time since I had smelled this particular tobacco, as it had been banned from production due to its health hazards. It was now readily available in Vietnam, and the pack I had just purchased was new and in perfect condition. I had bought it for just only 1 VND, and I gave them the 1,000 VND bill, and the salesman was still smiling and accepting the money, even though everyone around me seemed to only use old coins. Maybe they were used to accepting different forms of currency in that area, or maybe they just didn't care as long as they received payment. I decided not to dwell on it too much and simply enjoy my newfound tobacco. As I took out a tobacco from the pack and smelled it, I was hit with a wave of nostalgia. The familiar scent brought back memories of my childhood. The scent reminded me of the adults in my family who used to smoke it. I smiled at the memories that the scent evoked. When the blind girl heard me smiling, she approached and said goodbye to me, and she asked me if I remember the way to go back home. "Yes, I think I remember the way back home. Just go downstairs, right?" I said. The girl nodded, satisfied with my answer, and then turned to leave. I might like the girl, but it was just like destiny, partly because of her that I could find the tobacco. I approached her and shyly asked if I could see her again. I couldn't explain why, but I had a feeling that I liked this girl and wanted to get to know her better. The girl told me that she could only meet me at the tobacco shop at this point and nowhere else. I asked her why she could only meet me there, but she didn't give me a clear answer. As I walked down the stairs and towards the exit of the building, I couldn't help but notice that the strong odor from earlier was back again. It was overwhelming and seemed to linger in the air. I went back to the hotel I rented in Chinatown District 5, and I kept thinking about the girl a whole night. When I went to grab the tobacco packet from my bag, I was disappointed to discover that it had disappeared. It was a beloved item of mine, and I was to have lost it. Although it was already too late and I would have to wait until the following day, I desperately wanted to go back to the building and purchase another pack. I returned to the building that evening because I wanted to see the girl and get another pack of my favorite tobaccos. When I see kids playing, people continue to purchase the same goods they did yesterday. Everything was happening precisely the same as it had the day before, down to the smallest detail, which sent a chill down my spine. I ran into the blind girl again. Then I asked her to have dinner, but she declined. She said, "Around here, we keep our distance. You're welcome to have dinner at my house, but I can't spend the evening with a strange man." I accepted an invitation to have dinner at the blind girl's house. The girl made each dish she served with love in her kitchen. I ate across from her parents and her younger brother, who didn't say anything to me. Because we both knew and spoke French, it was just the girl and I talking. I noticed that the three of them looked like corpses devoid of souls. And then, as I was about to light a tobacco, the most terrifying thing happened to me. The tobacco fell from my hand. A horrifying sight suddenly appeared in front of me as I knelt to get a tobacco. My spine was chilled by the sight. They are all three without legs. I suddenly remembered that I came here to find out about the haunted building, and the scent of the girl had made me forget that it was a ghost building. I tried to remain calm while picking up the tobacco and assuring myself that the blind girl was not a ghost. I asked the girl, "The three people across from me aren't human, are they?" while maintaining my composure to finish my meal. Surprised, the blind girl questioned me. "You realize? So why don't you leave now?" I believe this girl to be a good person, so I assume she stayed to look after these people for some reason. I was asked by the girl if I could sense our connection. I concurred. I felt loved and compelled to defend the girl. The girl questioned, "Have you given it any thought? Many things must be lost by you." Even though their daughter was blind, I loved her and accepted it. Perhaps I was the only one who noticed that the three people across from me were ghosts. The girl gave me a letter after we finished eating, instructing me to read it and return the following day if I accepted. After I said goodbye, I hurriedly walked out of the building in fearful steps. When I got back to the hotel, I rubbed my head in shock, my hands shaking as I read the letter. I read the words in the letter, and I couldn't believe what I was seeing. "I am also a ghost." The girl was therefore not human. I reached for my bag to look for the tobacco pack so I could light up a tobacco to calm myself down, but as soon as I did, it disappeared once more. I knew that returning to the building would result in my losing his life. I had to be dead if I wanted to be with that girl. She already knew I was a good person and that she didn't intend to hurt me. She gave me the option of leaving and going back to Japan.